Chapter 8, Merlia and Her Daughter. Our next story is about letting go of control and fear and having faith in the unknown. Faith in your world is currently to believe in something larger than yourself. Over the centuries on Earth, this has been focused on religion. We want all to know that having faith does not have to be about religion. As religion takes on a lesser role in the coming years, each soul will have its own epiphanies about having faith in the human experience while on Earth and the faith in the energy that surrounds you. When a soul lets go and surrenders, and we mean completely surrenders, there is a shift in your energy. Trust emerges, and you know in your heart that no matter what, you will be okay. There is a grand design to your life, and you are the ones that play a part in what you want to learn and achieve here. Yes, some things do not go according to plan, and that is why there is free will on this planet, to learn the depth of the many experiences that a soul will have. In this story, we begin in Mexico with a little girl that was born into poverty. Her name was Merlia. Merlia helped her mother at a very young age, sewing dolls that were sold in the marketplace for their survival. When Merlia was not helping her mother, she would talk to the trees and plants around her, and they would respond to her. She had the gift of seeing beyond her human eyes. Merlia thought everyone could see what she experienced, until she talked to her mother one day. Merlia expressed about a particular plant being happy and how she could feel its gratitude towards her as she looked after it. Her mother scolded her and told her to never say such things. People would think differently of her. From that day on, Merlia learned to keep her feelings and what she experienced to herself. Years later, when Merlia was a teenager, her gifts became stronger. A part of this was because Merlia never shut down her abilities. She worked on them. She would hear insights from the trees and plants and began to see the elementals. They would warn her of certain events that could hurt her or her family in some way. They were also there for her when she was lonely and needed someone to talk to. Merlia's life was hard and challenging in poverty, yet she was happy. Merlia felt she had everything she needed when she was supported by the land in such a beautiful way. Even though Merlia's mother was harsh at times and steered her to do the opposite of what Merlia felt she was guided to do, she loved her mother very much. Merlia's mother was a hard worker and persevered in the circumstances they were dealt with. As Merlia grew, she tried her very best to ease her mother's workload every day. It was through her mother's death several years later that Merlia's life took a fated turn. On the night of her mother's death, Merlia found out she was pregnant. Merlia was in her early 20s and in a relationship with the father, Marcel. Marcel was also young, in his 20s, and he loved Merlia dearly. Merlia had been taking care of her mother while she had been sick and was by her bedside as she breathed her last few breaths. As Merlia watched her mother's chest rise and fall, slowing down with each passing breath, Merlia was visited by a beautiful beam of white and blue light. This beam of light filled the room with such grace, love, and comfort that Merlia began to cry. She had never experienced this feeling of purity before, and she realized she craved it. As she was looking at this beam of light, her mother appeared next to the beam. Merlia glanced down at her mother's bed and realized her mother's body was next to her, but her mother's soul was now standing side by side with this beautiful being of light. Merlia couldn't believe what she was seeing. She wanted to reach out and hold her mother. As the being of light gently took hold of Merlia's mother's hand and started to lift up towards the ceiling through an opening of light, the being of light paused for a moment. She turned and spoke directly to Merlia before disappearing with her mother completely. This child that has chosen you for their mother will teach you many things in the years ahead. Enjoy your time with her, and know time is precious. Never take your life for granted, for your life and the life of another can be taken away in an instant. You, Merlia, are here to offer support to your daughter as she spreads her wings and learns to fly. Merlia's mother smiled at her one last time before disappearing with a beam into the light. Merlia stared down at her mother's lifeless body, weeping with reckless abandonment. She laid herself over her mother's body and sobbed until she felt the baby move inside of her. It was as if the baby was giving her a warning to get her emotions under control, for at this stage in the pregnancy, there was still a chance of miscarriage if stresses in one's life were too high. A few days later, Merlia, with the help of Marcel, had the funeral arrangements underway. Merlia felt numb throughout the whole process, and when the day of her mother's funeral arrived, Merlia said her heartfelt goodbye. 5 months later, Merlia had her baby, Lucina. Merlia and Marcel raised Lucina with love and an open freedom. At an early age, Merlia taught Lucina the ways of the plants in the trees, showing Lucina the powerful healing remedies within plant medicine. Lucina was a beautiful combination of Merlia and Marcel. She had the warmth, curiosity, and kindness of both of them in her soul. Physically, Lucina had creamy dark skin, long, rich brown hair, and piercing blue eyes. Blue eyes were not usual for many humans in this area. It was Lucina's eyes that drew many people in to take a look at her. For Lucina had a gift. When you looked into her eyes, you saw the truth of what was hidden from you. Merlia knew early on there was something special about Lucina in the way that she could help people. However, Merlia and Marcel were still taken aback when words spread so quickly about Lucina's gift. Many people from all around came to look into her eyes. Even as a baby, Merlia and Marcel limited people's time with Lucina. It was important to Merlia and Marcel for Lucina to have the time to play outside, to be in nature, and with the animals. Lucina's gift gave the power back to the person, allowing them to have faith in themselves if they followed through with what was shown to them. This was a powerful gift indeed, and one that could be dangerous if the ones that are in control find out. For the ones that control your planet do not want anyone to know the power each soul has within. They want the masses to be controlled through distraction, taking your attention away from yourself. Merlia wanted to see for herself what others experienced with Lucina. She asked Lucina if she could be the one to sit in front of her. Lucina, who was 4 years old at the time, said, "Yes, Mama, sit across from me and stare for a few breaths into my eyes. You will be shown a picture that will play in your mind." Merlia sat across from Lucina, leaned in, and looked into her daughter's eyes. A scene started to take place, and it was one of Merlia crying, as she held her daughter in her arms. Lucina had died. Marlia gasped and sat backward. Lucina asked her mama if she was okay and if she could go and play outside now. Marlia shook her head yes and placed her head between her hands over her knees. What does this mean? Is this what is being hidden from me, that my daughter will die? Anger began to rise in Marlia, shouting and shaking her fists to the ceiling. Is this what this is all for? Death? No time with my daughter? I do not accept this. You cannot take her away from me. Marlia went out to the front porch and slammed the door behind her. She needed to think. She needed to calm down and talk to the trees, her true friends that have been there for her through every stage in her life. Marlia asked Marcel to watch Lucina while she walked down the lane to her favorite grove of trees. In this grove, there were a variety of trees: fruit trees, palm trees, and massive pine trees. Marlia sat underneath her favorite pine tree and began to pour out what she saw in Lucina's eyes to the trees. Once she had finished, she sat in silence. She instantly felt at peace and lay down on the earth. Marlia began to drift off and was visited by the being that had guided her mother to the light years ago. This is in your contract, Marlia, for you to experience having a child, feeling the love for that child, and allowing your child to fly, while showing yourself how to have faith and let go. Can't I have more time, a few more years? Marlia asked in her sleep. The light being answered, there are many timelines surrounding Lucina. Nothing is set in stone. Remember, Lucina is fulfilling her contract, and so are you. When Marlia woke up, it was nightfall. Marlia walked back home with a heavy heart. She didn't want to know this knowledge and wonder every day if this was the day her daughter would be taken from this world. When she got back home, she sat down with Marcel and explained what she was shown. Marcel was well aware of the depth of Marlia's and Lucina's gifts. He always supported Marlia and Lucina to the best of his ability. Marcel held Marlia's hands as she spoke, and then wrapped her in a hug, telling her it would be okay and to not lose faith. He told Marlia that they were lucky to have experienced such an incredible daughter, no matter how long she was with them. Marlia felt comforted by Marcel and quietly went into Lucina's room to watch her sleep. Her baby girl was sleeping soundly and hugging one of the dolls Marlia had made when she was younger. Marlia made the decision to let go. Whatever was going to happen was going to happen. She didn't want to fight it. It was too much effort and energy. Whatever the outcome would be, Marlia knew in her heart that time here on Earth was a gift. She drifted off to sleep in a chair next to Lucina's bed, enjoying the moment of being with her daughter. The next morning, when Marlia woke up, she could hear Marcel and Lucina giggling in the next room. They were making breakfast for her and making fruit faces on the pancakes and creating mountains with the eggs. Lucina was laughing as she told Marcel what to do. Marlia marveled at the love she felt for them and knew in her soul she had to talk to Lucina when they finished breakfast. She wanted to know what her daughter felt when she saw those that came to see her. The three of them enjoyed a delicious breakfast with smiles, laughter, and eventually full bellies. Marcel began cleaning up and Marlia took Lucina aside. Lucina, what do you feel when you see each person looking into your eyes? Mama, do not worry. Each man or woman is looking for freedom and peace. They feel trapped. I feel a light come inside of me, and it shines into them. I do not get tired, and after, when I go outside, I am surrounded by fairies and we laugh and play. Mama, the light is my friend, and it is home to me. Do not be sad. Your mama is in the light, and many others that love all of us. Maria scooped up Lucina, holding her close. She inhaled the smell of her daughter's hair and wanted to hold on to this moment forever. How did her little girl become so wise? She let Lucina go, and off she went to play outside. Lineups of people were already beginning to form outside to see Lucina. Marcel and Maria always made sure that Lucina would only see so many per day. Everyone respected this decision and offered gifts of food, handmade items, and money for Lucina's time and gift. Lucina also liked seeing the women and men. Even though she was little, she could see many things and knew others' thoughts. Many people suffered and were very hard on themselves, even though others thought of Lucina as a child and felt she did not know the ins and outs of life. Lucina knew so much more information than she let on. She did not want to frighten her mother and father with what was shown to her, and she had her friends to talk about it every day when she played in the backyard. Another year passed, and Lucina was now well known in Mexico, and word had started to spread into South America. Lucina was able to see others for many more hours in the day and asked her mother and father for this to take place. Lucina could feel something was going to happen. The truth was clear. She started to see signs that this part of her journey was coming to an end. Lucina was 5 years old by this time, and on the morning of her death, a great heaviness filled her chest. She was scared and asked for her mother to be near her the whole day. Maria knew something was off and sat in on every person's meeting with Lucina. Usually Marcel would be the one to sit in the room. However, Maria knew she had to be there that day. When the last person came in to see Lucina, Lucina could feel the energy shift in the air. She knew this person was not human. She did not fear what was in front of her, this being disguised as a human. Instead, an overwhelming sense of compassion took over. Maria could also feel the shift in the air and watched this person carefully. The man sat down and eyed up Lucina like a predator. I see you have been busy these past few years, trying to disempower what we have built upon. Maria tried to stand to warn Marcel, but found that she couldn't move or speak. She was screaming on the inside and began praying for help. This is your last day, little one. No more truths are to come out. No more empowering others. This is your fateful end. With that last word, he looked into Lucina's eyes and was rocked backward by a wave of light. The light being that had visited Maria only a year ago reappeared and shone her light over this creature. She said, "There are repercussions for harming another's soul in such a way, Kanashaka. No harm will come to this child." The creature stood and showed his true form, a massive reptilian figure. Its tail broke the table that was behind him, and he roared in anger. His tongue flicked out. His eyes were on the prize, Lucina. Lucina looked over at her mother, who was paralyzed in the chair, and gave her a small smile and whispered, "I love you." Lucina stood up and began to sing. Her little voice radiated out throughout the house, and the frequency flowed through the lands. It was a farewell song to the earth. Through the vibration of this song, all the others that she had helped heard the call. Each soul, wherever they were, sent her light. They set an intention for her to be safe and protected. And it worked. This was the transforming peace that altered Lucina's fate of death. This connection was so strong and light, for it was genuine, grateful, compassionate, and pure of heart. This thread moved from all of the others that she had helped into her being. Lucina's light grew so much that day that it blinded the reptilian and shrunk its form into oblivion. The being of light spoke to Lucina. "Lucina, your light will now be shielded from the dark ones that seek to harm you. Your contract in this life is rewritten. Fear not for your family or yourself." This was a test from the dark to see how strong you are, and you succeeded. We ask you now to shine your light with intention throughout the world every day, and in your dreams, even when you are with your friends, the fairies. The lineup of people will be no more, for this brings unwanted attention. Now you will teach others the way of the light when you are older. For now, enjoy being with your family and the long life that you will lead. The being of light shone her light once more and took leave through the ethers. The spell was broken for Malia. She could move again and held her crying daughter. It was all too much to bear. Malia and Lucina sat on the floor and held each other. Her daughter was alive and well. Marcel began running in from the fields when he heard Lucina's song and came upon Malia and his daughter, holding each other with tears running down their faces. He knew something had happened. You could feel the electricity in the air. It was the same energy one felt when a storm was brewing. He moved beside the two females that meant more to him than life itself. He began to sing a song of healing for them all. He sang of a light that would spread hope into the world, awakening each soul in its wake. The journey would not be easy, but one the soul and their family would not regret. He sang of happy memories and the laughter to come, with Lucina having her own family one day. Marcel finished the song with tears in his eyes. This was a gift from the light that was channeled through him. Truth, wisdom, and strength flowed through the three of them as he bent down and held each other. The story of Lucina, Malia, and Marcel is a memory that is long forgotten. For some souls that listen to this, a memory may awaken in you. You may have been one of the souls that waited in line to look into Lucina's eyes, for she helped hundreds of souls. For others, you may recall her teachings of empowerment and light when she was older. There have been many cover-ups of the beautiful souls that have come to help Mother Earth and her inhabitants. This is one of many stories that needed to be heard and remembered, to honor Lucina and her family, and to also have compassion for the misguided reptilian that sought to harm Lucina and all humans. Each soul has the power and strength to wake up from this illusion, the sleeping spell that is placed on earth. May these stories awaken many more souls to their light and passion on their journey.